So this is a preamble to the preamble. This is the project today that I'm going to take you through, and just to let you know that the actual crafting bit begins at about 4 minutes. I've talked quite a lot at the beginning, so if you want to skip that, go to about 4 minutes. You'll be very close to the beginning of this project. Thank you. Hello everyone and welcome back. It's Jackie, and today I'm going to do a craft with me inspired by. Just before I start, I don't want to ramble, but I haven't been around so much lately, and that's probably going to continue for a while. I think some of you will already know my mother and my mother-in-law are both really very unwell at the moment. That's ongoing. My mojo is a bit lacking. The pandemic is ongoing. So kind of living with that as well, and I am doing extra hours at my day job. So all in all, crafting has had to take just a little bit of a back seat. I have made a swap journal, which I will share with you when the recipient receives it, and I am working on a few journals, but I did want to carry on with this series. For those of you who are new here, I had a friendship challenge back in the summer. Quite a few entries, I think around 40, I'm not sure exactly, and over the months I'm hoping to take them one at a time, take an aspect from that entry and I suppose be inspired by it or recreate it or whatever. So this was Lisa's entry, and she made a card with pockets and a tag, stenciled, very pretty. She used fairies, which those of you who know me know that I like. So what I actually did really like about this entry in particular was the really long tail. It was a mermaid tag, and I liked the long tail over the side here. So I thought I'd use that mainly as my inspiration, and the fairies. So did I say it was Lisa Jones? So I was also seen something recently that I really liked, which was a booklet made by I think it was Robin Sanchez or Sanche, and she had been inspired by Tracy Fox, who was using her little specimen jars, or what are they, not jars, little round things that you put specimens in, doing various things with them, which was really great. So as you all know, I like a long slim tag, so I've taken inspiration from Lisa and Robin. I've changed it up a bit, particularly with Robin's. I've used a little bezel here, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And this is just a very simple little tag book and ephemera folder. I'm trying to make things that will go as happy mails if you wanted to send something in the post that's not too bulky. So that's an awful lot of rambling. I'm really sorry about that. So let's get on. This one you can see is floral based. I'm going to do a fairy one, and I'm going to use scrapbook paper. And the first thing I've got is a piece of paper, scrapbook paper, that is 8.5 by 6. I've scored it down the middle and folded it, and used my bone folder here. And then I've taken, this is the bezel, so it's just a flat piece of aluminium probably, and a glass dome, and they go in there, and that's going to go on the first tag and peep through a window on here. So to gauge where I want the window, I've taken the glass dome, I've got it roughly in the middle and about 3/4 of the way up, and I've just drawn around that with a pencil so that I can see where I need to die cut my circle. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to go off and die cut a hole here, and I'll be back. So I've got my hole cut. The bezel is 1 inch. So if you've got a punch that will reach across, you could use an inch punch for that. That would be a smaller hole. I've actually made it slightly bigger than my bezel, and I've used a Spellbinders die that's about nearly 1¼ just a bit under. So that's cut, ready. This paper, if you're interested, is from 49 and Market. I think it was there, I think it's the Antiquities paper, but I've had it a while, I can't really remember that. So if we get the bezel sorted out first, I'm going to use a little fairy image. I've got this slow fairy image. I'm going to just take the top part here, draw around it. I'm using a glass dome because I want it to fit inside the metal tray. Just get that cut out. Sorry if my hair is showing. So I hope everybody's okay, getting by in these difficult times that we're living in. I think the best we can hope at the moment is just to get by, really. So I've cut that slightly wonky, so let's just trim it down a touch. Okay. Now you can, that's sort of gone in and is stuck, so I'm not too worried. You can use a little bit of glossy accents under the image. Let's do that just to be on the safe side. I would imagine a clear PVA would probably work as well, but I always like using glossy accents for these sort of things. So I've got my bezel here, and I'm just going to do glossy accents on the back. Not loads, I don't want it to ooze out too much. So I'm just going to press that down for a minute or two. And that will hold that in place. I press it quite firmly because I want the glue to spread a little bit underneath. There we go. That'll dry clear so we can get on with our booklet. I've cut 2 sheets of tea dyed paper, and these measure 8 1/4 by 5 3/4. Just folded those together, and these are going to be my inside pages, and then this is going to peep through here. So folded all these together, and for speed for this particular project I'm going to machine stitch down the middle. So the way I do that is to line it all up, paper clip it, oops, sorry, got that iPad a bit close to my head today, so hopefully you can see this all right. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is go to my sewing machine and just run a row of stitching down here. I'm going to use a long stitch, the longest I can, because stitching actually perforates the paper. So if I tore this, it would tear away quite easily, because what I've created is a series of perforations. So if you do use machine stitching, you do have to be relatively gentle with it. So I'll go and get that done, and then we'll come back and do a little bit more. Okay, so I've done my stitching, not as straight as I would have liked, but it's folded out okay, and you can just see what I mean here about the perforations. It's just pulled it out slightly, but I'm not too worried about that. folded these over, folded this down and stitching on the back there. And now we're going to make pockets for the front and the back pages. The pockets, I've cut 2 pieces of card that are 2 3/4 by 3 and 1 1/4 by 3, so it's a little double pocket. Okay, and I just stitch those together, decided which way up I want it. So they'll go on the front and back pages. I've completed one and I'm going to stick that in now. On my original, I curved all the corners. I decided to leave this one straight, but if you want to curve the corners, do it before you stitch your pocket. And to glue these in place, I'm just using a really thin bead of art glitter glue. Okay, and when you pop these in, they need to come to the corner, the outer corner here of your page. When you're making pockets in journals or anything, even this type of thing, you want to leave a little tiny gap next to the spine, just to help it fold neatly. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, so this is going to, there's going to be a tag in there, this is going to sit on the tag and the tag will show through like so, like that. Which looks quite cute, I think. Obviously Robin's was quite a bit larger because she used the specimen jar, but I think this works nicely as well. So the tags are going to be approximately 2 1/4 by 7 1/2, and I'm using fairy pages. I've cut them a bit wide at the moment, so we'll cut those down a little bit. So let's make them, we'll try 2 1/2. So 2 1/2. So I've cut those down a touch under 2 1/2, and I'm going to use this one for the front because obviously if I use this one I'm going to be covering up the image, so this is the one I'm going to use inside the front. I'm going to check that it fits, and it does. We want it quite tall because we're going to have the tails coming out, but I also want to cover up this side of the tag. And I'm going to use book page. I've got this Chinese writing, I think it is, Russian. I think it's Russian, sorry, not Chinese. Let's cut that off at the top. So I do this by eye really. What I want to do is tear it so that it comes down like this. So I'm going to go up from the bottom. More. And that's not bad, that's pretty good. A little bit out here so we see her hair. So that I'm going to glue on there. And I'd usually use glue stick for this. And definitely making sure that this edge is well glued. And then for this tag, I'm going to do much the same. I am going to just take it down this side, okay? So I'm going to do that for my other tag. And then I'm going to zigzag down here. I'm then going to glue it onto some card, and I'm going to go round the edge. I'm not cutting it into a tag shape for this particular project. I'm leaving it square, top and bottom. Before I finish off the sewing, so I'll zigzag down here, that'll be fine, and then glue it to this. I'm then going to just round, before I sew round the edge, I'm just going to round the bottom two corners because that will help it go in and out of the pocket more easily. So let me go away and do those. I'll show you one and I'll get one finished. Okay, so this is the almost finished tag for the front pocket that we're going to put the bezel on in a moment. So just to show you what I did, I've zigzagged my book page down here. I need a bit of glue on here. This is some really lightweight card. I don't want anything too thick. So that gets glued onto there. Cut around it. And then, as I said, before I stitch around the edge, going to round the bottom corners. I then stitch round these three sides, a little bit of lace that I've cut, just some fine lace, pop that on the top, and I just zigzagged across the top just to finish off that edge. And because we want the tails coming out of the back really, I'm going to put an eyelet in the top here. I'm just using my crocodile for that, to go through all the layers. And then I've got some sort of white, it's slightly blue, but it's very fine chiffon ribbon. For this, I mean, any sari silk would work, but I quite like the fine, this sort of fine. I'm just doing the ends like that. So how long have I made that? So that's about 18 inches. I think that'll be about right. That's going to go through there. So this is what Lisa did. And then that's going in there. And that's going to flow out of there. And then the only thing we've got left to do is put this bezel on. So I've got this quite a snug fit, and I've got it fairly evenly in the pocket where I want it. I'm going to fold that over, and then I'm going to put my little flower fairy on here like that, and I'm going to use glossy accents again. This is probably the trickiest bit because the glossy accents doesn't set straight away. put it the right way up. Drop it in the middle. And then I just want to hold that down. Until it grips. So that's more or less, it will still move, but I think I can handle it now. So let's take that out and leave that to dry. Could put a little weight on it, it's quite helpful. I quite often with my tags pop on, I'm going to move this carefully again, pop on a label or something. I'm not 100% sure I want to do it with these. I do think these labels, these are Tracy Fox labels, I do think they add something, but because of the way, let's have a think about this. Maybe a little one, maybe just a little one in the corner here. Let's do that. Or let's cover the little toe peeping out there from the other image, so let's pop it on there like that. Better. So I quite like the what that adds. That's now set, so that's fine. Let's choose a label for this one. Something a bit bigger on this one, and it'll just cover up that piece there. I'm getting in a mess this morning, very untidy, working very untidily, which is actually how I usually work, but anyway. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is finish off this tag with the sewing machine, and then just come back and do the final touches to show you the finished booklet. Okay, so let's finish this off. I've put the tags in the front and the back. Put the pocket on the back. I filled the little front pockets with a few bits of ephemera, just some stickers really, and a Tim Holtz photograph. I'm going to tie this one slightly differently from the other one, but I'm still going to use the whale tail punch to thicken this up a little bit so that I can punch it. You don't have to use a whale tail punch, anything would work. In fact, I might use that. That's the bit that I cut out of the... Let's use that. I'm just going to ink the edge of this slightly. There we go. I haven't done a lot of inking in this one. Some of the pocket edges I did. So I want halfway down here, which is 4 1/4. Just going to mark it, just so I know where the middle is. And then this glue probably would look slightly better if I used the contrasting side, but I've got a pencil line. I can't bother to rub that out, so I really just want a sturdy place to put an eyelet. So that's on there. Get that back in. And then the crocodile again. And an eyelet in there. And then what I'm going to do is use another piece of this chiffon ribbon. And I'm offsetting it slightly because I'm going to take one piece round the back, you'll see in a moment. So I've got one side longer than the other. Okay, so the longer piece is going to go round, and then we're just going to tie a bow. take them round more than once, whatever you like, but I quite like that long. Let's just trim it down a bit. There we go. So that's our finished booklet, which I think's quite attractive. I especially like this little piece, so thank you Robin and Tracy for your inspiration, and to Lisa for my long trails, which almost looks like a very simple tassel coming out the back there. That's it for now, folks. I hope this is okay. Sorry for the ramble at the beginning, and I'll speak to you all again soon.